Hello dear all. Hope that you all are fine. And today we will discuss about another topic of Anvasrutas, that is Paradam Shul. This is a very important topic nowadays. You will see a number of patients of Paradam Shul in your day-to-day life, and if you will compare its symptom with disease that is described in modern medicine, so it has very close resemblance with the peptic ulcer syndrome. That there is development of ulcer in either gastric region or ulcer region that constitute two folds, gastric ulcer or duodenal ulcer, and both of these constitutes uh, peptic ulcer. So nowadays you will see that there are a number of patients are there in the OPDs that suffer from this disorder. So it's very common disorder, and you have to understand the pathophysiology and symptoms of Pradam very clearly. So you will see that in Paradam Shul, the all Acharya have described is that the stool that appears during phase of digestion, or either in the initial phase of digestion, which begins with the entry of food, and some time later that is the during phase of digestion. So what Acharya Madhav says, Bhukte Jiryat Yat Shulam, Tadev Paradamjam. But Bhukte Jiryat, some say that the pain during jiryat, during digestion of food, is known as uh, paradamshu. That some says that it appears almost 2 to 3 hours after intake of food. But if you consider this whole into two fragments, that is bhukte yad shulam, another is jiryat yad shulam, bhukte jiryat yad shulam. So either just after intake of pain or during the phase of digestion of food, if there is some kind of pain appears in, in the specific region, we will discuss about that later on. That thing is that disease is defined as paradam shur. So in nutshell, that pain which appears in a specific region, either just after taking food or during the phase of digestion in specified places, as we will discuss in this contest, is known as paradam shur. Paradam means something is changing, and so food is just changing its chemical composition after digestion. It is polysaccharides, it is being converted into disaccharides and monosaccharides. So that is its paradam is going on. That phase of digestion is known as paradam suga. Pain in that phase of digestion is known as paradam suga. And now here is Nidan Samprapti of Paradam Shul, what Acharya Madhav have described, that Swer Nidan. Just one word he has said, that Swer Nidan means self, Nidan of self. No? Either in exposure, regular exposure to that particular Nidan which vitiates Vat Pitta Kapha. Now, Swer means separately of each, either vata are factors that vitiate vat, that vitiate pitta, that vitiate kapha, and collectively there is all three are together. So there is no specific nidan, and since it is described in context of shul, so we can consider the nidan described in the context of vatic shul, pitic shul, and kapha shul, if they coexist. And since it is a kind of tridoshal vyati, so where pitto lower condition is considered as most important, so we will consider the factors which vitiate all the three those, and especially pitta those, whereas it is described that there is vitiation of vat pitta and kapha. So what Achar shares that swear nidanu means due to regular exposure of factors which can vitiate what with cough. So what happens there that initially vayu gets vitiated and it covers, it makes avran over cough and pith and thus causes pain at the time of digestion of food. You know, that initially there is vitiation of vatus and that causes avran over pith and cough. Cough pitte samavrit. This is it says that there is a concept of avran and a kaf pitte samavrit. It is described by Madhunidan, whereas in its commentary on the same topic, Madhukos says that there is some different concept. He says that balasa prachyuta asthana pittensa murchita vayum adai kurte sura. What says that initially what happens there is depletion of kaf from its normal place in the amasha. And so you can say that that mucous membrane of stomach is deranged and thus the inner surface gets exposed. So due to depletion of that blast, if there is some layer comes in the direct exposure of pitta dosh. So there is balasa prachuta asthana means mucus gets depleted from its normal place. So what happens that protective covering is lost. You know, there is protective covering over the inner surface of stomach. So that is lost. So what happens? The inner layers get exposed to that pith which resides in the stomach. So contact of that pith with that exposed surface leads to vitiation of what and that causes pain. So I have already said that there is vitiation of all these three dosas. Madho Nidan as Acharya Madhu directly says that there is a concept of avran in this disorder, whereas in Madhukos Tika, Acharya Vijay Rachit says that no, the pathogenesis is something different, and he had quoted the narration of some other Acharya in support of his claim. So it seems that both can coexist. Either there is avran or there is depletion of ballast that leads to direct contact of pith to exposed surface and that vitiates what and causes pain. And that pain appears which time bhukte jiryate, during the phase of digestion. So if there is again I am quoting that if there is pain at the time of digestion or at the initial phase of digestion, that is known as paridam. And now if we will see some prapti ghatak, those itself it is clear that uh, the dose is there and dose is anniras. And someone says that there is Annama Sruto Dusti and Madhukos in Madhukos Tika, Vijay Rakshit says that Tamahu Raswahanam Srutsam Dusti Hetukam. And Kechit Anadram Prabhu and someone says that. So what happens that there is vitiation of Rasva Srutas too in the commentary, as per commentary of Vijay Rakshit Achar, there is vitiation of Rastos along with there is vitiation of Annava Srutas along with Rasva Srutas. And those itself is, we can say now that Annaras and Ras is there. At this time we know that there is Amasya and Pakvasa. The entire both of these are responsible for digestion of phase of digestion where Aman resides in Amasya where semi-digested fully digested food resides in Pakvasa till their defecation takes place. And then Sotodustri depends on the pathology, whether there is avron or there is exposure. Depending on that, we can find that there is either some type of deformity or there is ati pravritti type of deformity. And we have already said that Agni is Mand in the case, and it's a sadhyavadi because until it gets complicated, है ना? And if there are few symptoms what Acharya have described, we will discuss it later on that त्रिदोषजी असाध्य त्रिदोषजम असाध्यम तू क्षीण मांस बनावलम. What Acharya Madhu have described the same that त्रिदोषजम asadhyam to क्षीण मांस बनावलम means if patient is highly emaciated, there is loss of mans chidta and bal chidta and anal chidta. Its Agniman is too much of high degree. In these conditions, it becomes asadhi. So initially it is sadhi, but tridosaj is asadhi. And if patient is having feature of chid, mans, balanalam, it again becomes asadhi. And since pain is a major clinical symptom in the diagnosis of Paradam Shul, so it is very important to classify it further that what are the major places where it can appear, and what are the factors through which it can get subside or which can aggravate the nature of pain. So in this present slide we will discuss about these factors and what Acharya Madhav says that Kukshom Jathar Parsveshu Nabo Basto Astanantare Prishthmul Pradesheshu Sarvesh Eteshu Vapna. These are the sites of pain. Now it says the Kukshon in the lumbar region, Jathar Parsveshu, maybe the Jathar Pars, and you can say that in the iliac region, lumbar region, Nabo-umbilical region, basto-hypogastric region, Astananantre, epigastric region, Pristhmul, and also that backside or the lower angle of the scapula. So almost in either 9 quadrants of the abdomen, either of the 9 quadrant, or at the back side of the scapula, you will see there are some patients with a symptom of pain in back of the chest. So it says that there is pain at the lower angle of the scapula or in the middle of both lower angle of the scapula. Some patients say so. So in some patients the pain reflect at those places, where in some patients pain appears either in epigastric region or umbilical region. Or in some patients it may be in more than one place, and in some patients which have a severe degree of Paradamshu, in pain will be there in all the places as described Sarvesh Etoshu Apna, in all these places where Kuksho Me, Jatar Parsho, Nabo, Vastu, Astanant, and almost all 9 quadrant including back side of the chest also. So in the all portions there may be pain. In initial cases there may be pain in one or two sides. That depends on the degree of vitiation of dosh and dosh. That if both are too much vitiated, they will cause higher degree of symptom, and if they have lower degree of vitiation, they will cause lower degree of pain. So what happens next? That bhukt matre vante chirne anya. And there are three factors in which that pain is relieved. And you can say that these are the relieving factor for uh, pain in Paradamshu. What are these? Bhukt matre. And during, if there is pain and you take some eatable, the pain will be relieved. One thing, if emesis takes place, vomiting takes place, and Jiren, if phase of digestion is completed. What happens that just taking Bhukt Matre, the Amla Gul is neutralized. But since it is a kind of Pittul Lavan Vyadhi, so that that vitiate, vitiated with helps to neutralize the food. Yeah, it gets amalgamated with the taken food. So there is lesser contact to exposed surface. So that pain subsides. And the same happens in emesis too. If there is vomiting, the that vitiated pith comes out through the mouth, and again there is lesser chance of exposure to that surface which has depletion of Schlesma and Girardenane. And since there is again Pittul Lavan during phase of digestion, so when the phase of digestion completes, then that Pittul Lavan condition is automatically subsided. So in these three conditions, due to that Pittul Lavan condition, these if there is lesser degree of pain due to their, it becomes subsided. If that Pittul Lavan condition is subsided, then pain is also subsided. And there are some kind of rice which increases in the amrita of pith. Yeah, it increases the further vitiation of pith to lower pith that causes aggravated pain. And this is the sashtik, brie, and shali type of rice. These are three kind of rice, intake of which will aggravate the pain of Pardamshu because they have they vitiate Pitto condition further. They are precipitating factor for pain in Pardamshu. So we discussed that there is some site of pain and there are some aggravating factor and some relieving factor. On the basis of these three, we decide that this is Pardamshu. And further we presence of other symptoms. What we decided whether it is Vatullam or with its Pitta Pradhana, Kaf Pradhana, likewise, which there is predominancy of which dosh that decide on other symptoms. And now the types of Paradamsu, and there is no clear cut classification by number. What we can say, there is no clear cut Sankhya Samprapti has been defined in context of Parinamshu because Sankhya refers particular number. So during description of uh, symptoms, Achar had described symptoms of Parinamsul as per the dosic predominance said there is symptoms of Vati Parinamsul, there is symptom of Pittaj Parinamsul, there is symptom of Kapach Parinamsul, and in last Achar says that Sansrist Lakshanam Buddhva Tridosham Parikalpane means if there is coexistence of symptoms of two those, then say that there is Sansarga Vyadhi means there are three types of Sansarga. So we can consider there are six. Now it becomes six. And in last line, he also says there's Tridostam. So we can just think that Sanskrit Lachanam Buddhva Dridosjam Pariklapet Tridosjam Va. Then it becomes total number becomes 7. Now, either from three dosas, predominance of three dosas, and there is Sansarg and there is Sanipat. Three type of Sansarg and one type of Sanipat. So it becomes total 7 types of Paradamshu. Though as a Sankhya Samprapti, Achar have never mentioned that it is of 7 types. So this is actually Vidhi Samprapti. Another we can discuss that Vidhi Samprapti is a kind of internal classification where we are defining that Paridam Shul is of seven types depending on the predominance of that particular dose. So this is Vidhi Samprapti. The seven types of Paridam Shul is there depending on Vidhi Samprapti. And this is all for today's topic. And rest of the portion of Paridam Shul and Anudra Shul we will discuss in our next class. Till then, enjoy. Thank you all. Thank you.